it's hard to overstate how big Sailor Moon is in pop culture, to the extent that I don't even need to explain what Sailor Moon is about. This is gonna be the second Magical Girl video that I'm doing. So far, we're 2 for 2. I love Sailor Moon. I'm not a 90s kid, so I don't really remember seeing Sailor Moon air on TV, but I do remember having my mom frequently take me to Blockbuster and renting all the Sailor Moon DVDs I could find. My aunt was also an anime fan at the time, and she could also sew, so she and my mom helped to put on a Sailor Moon themed birthday party for me. Needless to say, I adored the show and still do. Sailor Moon was an extremely influential part of my life, inspiring me and helping me to become the person I am today. Sailor Moon Super S is the 4th season of the anime, before Superstars, which is the finale. Super S consisted of 39 episodes, and interestingly, none of them were cut when adapting the season to America, something that cannot be said for the first 2 seasons of the show, which I believe had about 7 episodes cut between the 2 of them. One of my most prized possessions is my Sailor Moon Super S DVD set, the Pegasus collection. This was gifted to me by the aforementioned aunt, who must have given it to me around the time of the Sailor Moon themed birthday party. I can't remember. Anyways, I've had the thing since I was basically a baby, and I've watched the fuck out of it. The DVD set is very used and very loved, but it's still in pretty good condition. Anyways, the season focuses on Chibiusa, Sailor Moon's daughter from the future, and Chibiusa's relationship with Pegasus, or Helios, the protector of the Golden Crystal, and the protector of people's dreams. While fleeing from Queen Nihilia, who wants to use the power of the Golden Crystal to destroy the Earth, Pegasus finds refuge in Chibiusa's own beautiful dream. Throughout the rest of the series, Chibiusa befriends Pegasus, and he helps to power up Sailor Moon and Chibi Moon into Super Sailors. Alongside this plotline runs the typical Sailor Moon Monster of the Week side stories, and of course, lots of these episodes are about love. Something I find interesting about Sailor Moon Super S is the focus it gives to long-distance relationships that are strong enough to withstand being apart for decades, even without any contact at all. So, today I would like to talk about So, I'm no stranger to e-dating. I'm 19, and both serious relationships that I've been in have involved going long distance. A lot of people, especially older generations, believe that maintaining a relationship through the internet is impossible. However, I've been in a perfectly happy and healthy relationship for over a year now, and while I did live with them for a few months, due to life circumstances, we're back to doing long distance. Most of our relationship has been long distance, but that really hasn't caused that many problems. There are countless stories of people being apart for long periods of time and still being happy in the end. All that to say, if you find someone really special, no circumstances should hinder that relationship to the point of ending it if you're willing to put in the work. In Sailor Moon Super S, that work often comes down to trusting each other. Episode 2 focuses on Reika, a friend of the Sailor Scouts who happened to have just returned from Africa after studying abroad. What was she studying? Horse training, or horse riding, something like that. Jockey? I think she wants to be a professional jockey. Anyways, she looks very troubled while training her horse and becomes so distracted by her thoughts that she ends up falling off, in which all the Sailor Scouts come to her aid. The reason she's troubled has to do with Motoki, her boyfriend, a long-standing character in Sailor Moon, the blonde guy who works at the cafe the girls often frequent. Reika was given another opportunity to study abroad, but this time for 10 years. And when Motoki found out about this, he started to become very distant from her, avoiding her and acting cold. Reika obviously wants to follow her dream, but she also loves Motoki and doesn't want to leave him for a decade, which is pretty understandable. Usagi and Minako take the lead in trying to fix the couple's problems, which end in asking Motoki how he really feels, while Reika hides out of sight. Motoki then says this.
だから、俺は決めたんだよ。レイカが俺のために自分の夢を諦めたりしないように、どうしたらいいか自分で決められるまでは会わないって。 俺はいつまでだって待っていられるから。
I think this scene is really lovely, and while Motoki should have just said things straight up, I realized that he absolutely didn't want Reika to choose him over her lifelong dreams, so he attempted to make the choice easier for her by kind of soft breaking up. This only caused Reika pain, as she loves Motoki and Motoki loves her, and after the episode ends, it's apparent that they would do anything for each other while also following their own dreams. Because it's Sailor Moon, you know that the couple will be together forever, because in this world, love prevails over any and every obstacle. What is highlighted here, though, in my opinion, is trust. Motoki and Reika trust each other to be able to be apart for so long. The main conflict came from Motoki not trusting Reika to follow her dreams if he was an option, which is shown to be false in the end since Reika is able to have both. Long-distance relationships are hard, and they require you to not be as involved in your partner's life, meaning that your daily life is completely removed from your partner, and you have to believe that they will stay by your side even when they're thousands of miles away. It can be good for couples to have separate lives, but it definitely requires a lot of faith too.
お互い愛し合って信じていれば大丈夫なんだね、やっぱり。離れ離れになったくらいで切れちゃうほど赤い糸って弱くはないのよ。
Episode 15 is in a similar vein to the Reika and Motoki story, almost a continuation. The episode focuses on a grouchy old woman who is very cold to Mamoru when he offers to share his umbrella, and when Princess Kitty Diana, Luna and Artemis's daughter from the future, is brought in by the old woman from the rain, Diana sees that she's actually very kind. She's also an amazing cook. As well as feeding Diana, she also makes 2 other meals, one for her, and the other just sits there. It is later revealed that the reason she makes 2 meals is she has been expecting her lover to return to her for a very, very long time. The couple were both talented chefs a long time ago, but the man wanted to travel all over the world and learn from every country's greatest chefs in order to have the best restaurant with her. So he left for 20 years, leaving the woman all alone in this huge mansion and waiting for his return. Now, while this story is pretty far-fetched and would lead me to some questions like, why couldn't they travel together, or was traveling alone and learning all of that really worth losing 20 years of time with your loved one, I feel as if the story fits in well with Sailor Moon's narrative of love, a love that is eternal, everlasting, and willing to sit out any kind of storm. While I do find it sad that the woman decided to wait in that house all alone for so long, I do like how in both stories, a person's dreams and aspirations are never sacrificed in order to stay with a loved one, and if you're with the right person, they will always be waiting for your return. Again, this love story is about trusting each other. He trusted that she would still be waiting for him so they could start their dream restaurant together, and she trusted that he would return someday so they could share meals together again. When he finally comes back, he apologizes and asks if she still loves him, and she does.
マヤコさん、こんな身勝手な私を許してくれるのですか？
だって約束したじゃない。2人でお店をって。
In the background of all these stories, we have Chibiusa talking to Pegasus every night using the crystal chalice he gave her. I feel as if I don't need to point out how reminiscent this is of current e-daters talking to your partner late into the night, especially considering all the different conversations we get to see them have, usually of Chibiusa talking about her day and significant events in her life. I would like to remind the audience that Pegasus is not really a Pegasus, but a prince who can take the form of one. The golden crystal that he protects is his golden horn. Helios, or Pegasus, is a few years older than Chibiusa, around 12. While Chibiusa's age is dubious, she has a whole character arc about being unable to age physically due to her feelings of inferiority and somewhat jealousy of her own mother. Because of how mature Chibiusa acts when the spotlight is on her throughout this season, I would gander that she's probably around 9 or 10. So while it can be strange to watch the love story between a girl and a white horse, I can suspend my disbelief and enjoy the love story that is being told. Chibiusa spends so much time talking to Pegasus. She shares her secrets, hopes, and dreams with him. She trusts him and is the link between Pegasus and the other Sailor Scouts, as she gets them to trust Pegasus when the chips are down and when the Scouts become suspicious that he could be an enemy. Because of the nature of his job as the protector of the Golden Crystal, Pegasus is unable to reveal much about himself, as he cannot allow himself to be found and captured, something that, if were to happen, would mean the end of the world. So Chibiusa is made to keep her and Pegasus' relationship a secret, even from Usagi. Eventually, Chibiusa starts to feel as if Pegasus isn't her true friend because he hasn't shared much of anything about himself and has to keep a lot of secrets from her. She questions him about this, and the conversation becomes tense enough that Pegasus decides to leave. This episode sets out to tackle the difficulties in trusting those who you love, and the fear that they may be hiding things from you or tricking you. When it comes to long-distance relationships especially, insecurity can arise from not seeing them in real life and wondering if they even feel the same way as you do. Chibiusa, of course, has the right to question her and Pegasus' relationship, as it is true that she reveals so much about herself and yet Pegasus continues to remain mysterious. She has the right to question him and sort out if she truly wants to continue a relationship with someone who is unable to share much personal information. While Pegasus can understand her frustration, he is saddened at the thought of not being considered true friends with her just because she doesn't know everything about him and flees. As Chibiusa reflects on their argument, she gets in a small scuffle with Usagi about walking into her room without knocking or anything, which makes it difficult to hide her relationship with Pegasus. While she loves Usagi and trusts her, she tells her mom that she still deserves her own privacy and to have secrets that Usagi doesn't need to know about. At that moment, she realizes why Pegasus left and sets out to apologize to him. In the end, their relationship is repaired and they trust each other more than ever. When it comes to Chibiusa and Helios' relationship, we have a couple that really cherish each other's company. It is obvious that they sit there and talk for hours and that they really love each other unconditionally. At the end of the series, when Helios has to leave to protect his home planet, the goodbye is very sad. Chibiusa begs him to stay, but he can't and promises to meet her again. The first ending song, Watashi tachi ni naritakute, translates to, I want to be together with you, and the lyrics are about yearning to be with the person you love again someday. This song and versions of it can be heard throughout Super S, symbolizing Chibiusa and Pegasus' relationship. When thinking about Sailor Moon Super S, it's a season of Sailor Moon that has really stuck with me since childhood. I have a lot of nostalgia attached to it, and while it's harder for me to just sit down and watch Sailor Moon now as an adult, Sailor Moon is more of a second monitor show, I feel like the messages are still valuable to me today. One of my favorite songs ever is Rashiku Ikimashou, the second ending theme of Super S. That song helped me overcome a lot of difficulties in my life, and always kept me looking towards the future. I took a lot from the show as a kid, and I love that even now I continue to discover new ways to relate to it. What Sailor Moon says about true love, about trusting the people who you love, and always keeping an open mind and heart are important. E-dating and long-distance relationships are becoming more and more common, as barriers are being broken for what relationships and love can be built on. Not only does Sailor Moon tackle the problems that can arise from these types of relationships, it also shows that you can work it out. If you love someone and both of you are willing to do what you can to make it work, you can be together forever. And of course, you have to trust each other.